This is William Hall with Resist the Mainstream. Before we jump into today's topic, just a quick reminder to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you get notified when our videos go live. So let's go ahead and jump into the subject here. There is a new rule that has just gone through with the IRS. This new rule actually is dealing with your children's inheritance. If you have certain things set up so that they can make sure that they inherit certain types of properties and assets that you have. Now, the IRS they didn't make any type of actual major announcement about this. They basically changed the rule and didn't notify anyone. So if it wasn't for sites like this one to make sure that you were staying up to date on everything that's going on, we wouldn't even be aware of this. But this new unexpected move deals with the IRS, as I mentioned before. It's the ruling that's titled, it's 2023-2, and it's directly impacting estate planning and certain types of irrevocable trusts. So let's go ahead and jump into this. This one is kind of an in-depth discussion and look at exactly what's taking place here so that you can basically understand this a little bit better. So what this is doing here, now the Daily Mail actually reported in 2010 that there's been an increase in the utilization of these irrevocable trusts. So let's go ahead and jump into a little bit about what these types of trusts are. So specifically what these are is that these are trusts that are specific assets that are given to beneficiaries way beforehand, right? So this is something that you know, if you were to die or if whatever the situation is that takes place, that these things are handed to, say, your children or whoever it is that you've chosen to have these passed down to. But the difference is that they are not subject to taxes and other things like that, or creditors, for example. Oftentimes you see lawyers or maybe doctors, people that have a high chance of getting sued, oftentimes putting things in a irrevocable trust so that they can make sure that those assets are protected and are not able to be accessed by, say, somebody filing a lawsuit against you where they basically can claim all of your assets. Well, if you put something in that trust, they can't get access to that. So that's basically what this is. Now, the IRS has noticed this, obviously, that people are starting to put more things in these types of trusts, and they're doing this to basically make sure that, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and get more money. I mean, that's what the IRS has been entirely concerned with. We've seen what they've been doing in recent history. But the new IRS ruling reverses the current IRS practice of allowing assets to pass through an irrevocable trust, thus effectively eliminating capital gains taxes. So the IRS policy change could expose beneficiaries, most notable children receiving an inheritance. And that's what this is about here. So a financial analyst noted that Americans are now likely to be subject to substantial costs if they do not consider these new rules. Because what's basically happening is that if somebody were to, if you were to die or whoever it is were to die, basically if they didn't have anything in one of these types of trusts, those things would be kind of given out to different people based off of the will of that person upon their death. However, if, say, they had a bunch of debts, or if they maybe got sued recently, or whatever the situation may be, they can claim those assets. So even though they could, in the will, maybe say, you get this house, well, technically not. If that house is now claimed by creditors, they can take that away. You just get nothing. But if it was a part of an irrevocable trust, now they can actually keep that house, and you are able to give or actually have that and inherit that house regardless of what debts and other things and lawsuits they may have had to deal with upon their death. So to kind of explain it a little bit easier, if a couple bought a home in 1975 for $100,000, which is now worth $250,000, and they want to sell the home, they will owe capital gains on the $150,000 of growth of that value, right? So financial experts now are noting that creating a trust like this that includes assets within the taxable estate is still possible, but this kind of trust arrangement protects the assets from spin-down scenarios and enables a tax-free transfer to children. So the whole idea is that the IRS is trying to clamp down on this and basically make sure that they can tax that too, and make sure that it kind of strips away the benefits of even doing it in the first place. Because the idea is that you can't change anything. Once you have the value set and you put, say, this house or this property or whatever the asset is in this trust, it can no longer be changed or modified or anything else unless the beneficiary decides to change it in some way. So that's basically what's going on here. So Yahoo Finance actually commented on this, recommending that families reevaluate their estate planning and strategies and consider seeking legal counsel and advice to mitigate the impact of this rule change. And the IRS ruling, once again, that's 2023-2, is targeting high-value estates at this time, but could evolve to force many families to confront new tax burdens. So it's kind of the same thing that we've seen from Democrats that they've been pushing for the past few years, where they say, well, it's only affecting the rich people. It's only the people that maybe have millions of dollars worth of homes. It shouldn't concern you. Well, it always winds up trickling down to the middle class, doesn't it? Funny how that works. And that's what's going to happen. So this is something to take note of. Make sure that you are taking note of this if you have any intention on making sure that your estates, your assets, or whatever it may be are properly passed down, that these things aren't being taxed, that no matter what happens to you, you're not having a concern about whether your children are going to get that money, get that property, or whatever it is. You should be paying attention to this, because I guarantee you in a few years, it's going to continue to trickle down, and it's going to affect the middle class. It's going to affect the everyday person, because that's always how these things work. So this policy change is just another reminder that the IRS is entirely able to influence your, not only just your current day finances, but your financial planning way down the line, and your children's financial planning as well. Everything that you may have expected to happen now can change in the drop of a hat, because you never know. They could just randomly just say, hey, you know what? This is going to affect the poor. This is going to affect middle class. We're going to trickle this down. And they can continue to make changes in the future. So that's why it's crucial that they do this. And the IRS knew this would be confrontational, which is why they didn't even really make an announcement about it. It's why it takes slides like this one to make sure that you are informed and staying informed on these types of changes, because it could be affecting you very, very soon. But with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Take a second to also like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Let us know what you think. Were you aware of this, or is this the whole idea of irrevocable trust new to you? Let us know down in the comments what you think about this and what the IRS is doing here. But with that being said, we thank you for watching the video, and we'll catch you on the next one.